Howdy, it's your boy Nate. I read books because reading is sexy, and if you're not reading, you're not sexy. How many times do I have to tell you? Here is everything I read in September. Guys, I'm still depressed. I really don't know what it is. I'm just gonna sit here and wallow. Anyway, yeah, so count this month has been quite low. Will say though, I have been watching a lot of movies, and I think I'll hit 365 before the end of the year. I think that's how I've been trading off my time instead of reading time. But also, we got a big bad boy here. Baddie, big baddie. Let's go through this. I read a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 books. 6 books in September. Let's go through them. First of the month did Munkey Diaries by Jane Birkin. After reading It Girl, Life and Legacy of Jane Birkin by Marissa Meltzer, I thought, let me do the diaries, because a lot of the diary entries were mentioned in the book, and I was like, let me do them. And so I did this. There's actually another diary collection published in French that I would like to get to at some point. I'll try and pick that up. This was such a delight. I think just captures everything that I love about Jane. She's a cutie. What's really nice is that she's a doodler, so we got a few doodles from her. There she is with Serge and her little baby, Charlotte, I believe. Yes. Really adorable. It tracks her life from 1957 to 1982, so definitely when she was a little schoolgirl until very late in her life. She's just a girl, guys. She's just a girl. She was sexually frustrated. She didn't feel pretty enough. You know, just like the usual quips of any person, I think just makes her incredibly human. Really love this a lot. It's just such a fun thing to flip through and try and like match days. So I was like living life alongside her with her past. Kind of weird and crazy to think about, but that's eventually what I'd like to do with Sylvia Plath's journals at some point. But yeah, if you love Jane Birkin, you will love this. Next up, I did Philippa Snow's Snow Business, sent to me kindly by Isolari Books. They are based out of New York and Italy, and they do these incredibly beautiful, cute, sexy books. Guys, that can literally fit in your pocket. You have no excuse for not being able to read out in public because the book is too heavy to carry. Look at this. This literally fits in your pocket. Crazy. And I love Isolari for how they're able to produce works that are definitely rereadable. I just love revisiting some of their books. This one is incredible. I want to make a note about like criticism and its current death. I think good criticism is dead. I love Andrea Long Chu. I love Dennis Lim, but he doesn't really write criticism in the way that we think of criticism, but I think he writes really good stuff about film. And just, I miss like a good critic of culture, Susan Sontag, Jonathan Gold, and just like any kind of criticism, any kind of reviewer, like good reviewer. We just don't have that anymore, okay? And it makes me so upset that it's a dying art. Do more people need to do it? No, because I think people just don't have the formal education or vocabulary for it. And it's just something that you have to train for. And we don't have that training anymore. We have a lot of opinions, watered down, weak opinions, but we don't have good criticism. Philippa Snow has a collection of really beautiful pieces about film, books, and its interconnected relationship to our lives. For example, Spring Breakers by Harmony Korine, and that was such a shift in culture that I don't think we talk about enough. Casted with Selena Gomez, Vanessa Hudgens, destroys the very image of what a Disney girl is, but also the idea of the girl and her transition into a woman. The sequences in that and its developments have, I think, shaped a lot of what a girl is portrayed to be in media, and her release from that. She is no longer G. She has inklings for the PG, for the PG-13 or rated R or X. There's also good writing about Sex and the City in here. Did anyone know that Ingmar Bergman loved Sex and the City? Did you know Bergman's bias was Samantha? Because of how tell-all tall tale she was about sex and just such a riveting character. An essay about Francis Bacon and how he was gay. I mean, I kind of knew he was, but I didn't really know it. A lot about different artists. David Lynch is in here. I think encaps the book beautifully, surrounding about his recent death and all. Really, really good. I think it connects books, films, and life just so beautifully in a way that makes a life richer, more beautifully experienced. Anyway, go out, pick yourself an Isolari book, because they do such great work. Next up did The Four Spent the Day Together by Kraus, published by Scribner. Oh, it's already out. Read this as an ARC. Was really pushed to read this based on Ben's thoughts on the book and his experience with it from Benjamin Journal. Love you, Ben. And I thought this was interesting. It was my first Kraus, and I've always been meaning to get to her work. I want to read I Love Dick. I mean, what a title. Amazing. This is about a lot of things. It starts off in Minnesota around 3 teens who shoots this other guy, all set within the meth community, and then pivots to this married couple that moves sort of back and forth. The story moves back and forth between LA and Minnesota, and just this mixture of urban life and addiction, and then it just falls straight into autofiction, where Kraus writes herself into the book, and then also about just the world at large right now. It's set in the Trump administration, and this is where it just became really off-putting for me. But by the end of the book, I couldn't stop thinking about it, because who else writes within historical fiction but is set so hard in the present tense? Right? I'm thinking about like different applications of fiction and ways of fiction that are set wholeheartedly in our immediate world, how it translates, but also how do we escape it? Can we escape it? Is it escapable? Because you have those certain readers, right, about people who want to escape reality through books. But what happens when that fiction is so adjacent to our own reality? Anyway, I've been thinking about that a lot, and this is one I couldn't stop thinking about. I think it's a really important book for how timely it is, but when I think about it, I think it's like my very experience with Eddington, how so ingrained in reality it is and the absurdity of life. But did I enjoy it? Not really. But do I think it's important? Yes. So it's very much that. I think this won't stop me from reading Kraus's other books. I'm very curious about them now. Let me know if you've read any other Kraus, would like to know, and would like to get to some other titles. Have you read I Love Dick? Let me know. And yes, I have been following the Epstein files and cases just like everyone else, but had no idea that the director of the FBI wrote a children's book called The Plot Against the King, Kash Patel. This is about how the vote was rigged. And this is just crazy to me that the director of the FBI wrote this. You know, I think just speaks to the current absurdity of the world. The world that you live in right now is completely deranged. I can't even understand how it's reality right now. I'm just like, it's a wild, wild world out there right now. And I think this is just cherry on top, icing on the cake about how silly the world is. It's about this funny little wizard based off of Kash Patel and him trying to save Trump as king. Definitely don't read this, don't pay for it, don't borrow it. I read this via a TikTok, and it was a great worth of my time and dedicated time to a different creator against fascism. A better way to enjoy the book. Okay, and this is a note that I read everything, okay? I read everything from both sides, and I think it's important to... I mean, your time is valuable, but I read this so you didn't have to, and you don't have to read this. Next up, I read Pisti, 80 Rue de Belville by Estelle Hoy, which is really interesting because Estelle Hoy was one of the first readers for the Kraus book that I just read. It's just like delightfully surprised to have found this. Bought this from Post Poetics, that is no longer a bookstore, and bought this at their like liquidation sale. Was really surprised by this. I really enjoy this, mostly because of how pretentious it is. It's about an American who moves to France and sort of just has lesbian relationships, wins love, loses it, and meets a bunch of other pretentious people. It's very arty. There's great references to different artists, philosophers, writers, everything. There's just like a great quote that falls through, stuff from Kathy Acker, Barbara Kruger, just a bunch of other artists. It's written in a teleplay format, but also just like emotive, fictive, memoiric bursts. It's a very bibliosophie book. So Sophie, if you're watching this, I think you'd get a kick out of this. It's just fun, flimsy, and just kind of a sexy read. Next up, did Zadie Smith's White Teeth with Rasheen from Rasheen's Reading. Oh, this is so good. I still need to send over my thoughts to Rasheen, so sorry Rasheen if you're watching this. I still need to send you a message about this, but yeah, so good. I'm thinking about like New Sincerity, other writers like Jeffrey Eugenides, Ben Lerner, Jonathan Franzen, just this group of writers in this movement that came from MFA but wrote with a strong narcissistic New York way that I think just holds up really well and continues to hold up. And it's a generational story set in London, tracking from like 70s to early 2000s, or like late 90s. It's just so English, but also about the immigrant experience, about the traumas that it carries, the traumas of war, and it's just such a beautiful story about like legacy, how a person persists in the face of death, in the face of loss, and in the face of protest and movement. And I think this is such a timely book as well. I'm just finishing this up after Tommy Robinson had this like anti-immigration protest. It's crazy to me how xenophobic the world is right now. It's like the whole world wants to quote unquote protect its borders, but what are you actually protecting yourselves from? Having read this, it's just so crazy to see how much has not changed. And I wonder if things just happen in constant waves. History is meant to repeat itself, and we are just very short from not having learned much. Some of the issues in here revolving race, class, immigration, being an immigrant, I think this is what will make my top read of the year, just because of how incredibly important it is to this day. Still very powerful, and I loved this Zadie Smith so much. And yeah, would like to know what other Zadie Smith should I read, because I had such a grand time with this one. It's sharp, it's funny, it's emotionally beautiful, the characters are so rich. It's just such a great family saga story. I just love like a great family drama. So this was so good. And Roisin, great buddy read, such amazing thoughts, illuminating thoughts as well, and also like other sources. She sent over this podcast that I've yet to listen to. It's just like a really careful reader, and just loved our communication and thoughts on this. It was a reread for her, my first time with this, so it was really great to see sort of her reflections on first read and also as a reread. It's probably one that I will reread at some point because I loved it so. Okay, that is everything I read in September. Let me know what you read in September. Would like to know. Any good bangers out there? As always, I'm a Blackwell's affiliate, so if you enjoyed me talking about any of these books, please consider using my affiliate link downstairs. Blackwell's offers free international shipping for all my expats out there, so you an expat, you love reading, this is a great way to pick up books at a decent price. As always, be well, do good work, keep in touch.